what the estimated cost of the project is.
Mr. Simbao of Luansha will ask the Minister of Technology and Science a question in two parts: what the rationale for the increase in tuition fees at technical and vocational colleges countrywide is, and what measures are being taken to ensure that the new fees do not disadvantage students from poor families.
Lone Member of Parliament, Mr. Joel Chibuye, to ask the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development whether the government has any plans to rehabilitate the Pantamatu Ron Central Business District Road in Luansha District. If so, when the plans will be implemented, what the estimated cost of the project is, and if there are no such plans, why.
Those are some of the questions that will be considered on the floor of the House. Of course, we will have resumption of consideration of question for oral answer understanding order number 74. That's question 265. That's all the time we had for you. Just now, we wait for the arrival of Madam Speaker's procession. Just now, we take you to the chamber for the live pictures as we await for the resumption of business at 14:30 hours. Just stay tuned right here on the only station that brings Parliament closer to you.
Honorable members of Parliament, Madam Speaker.
Tendency of Zambia, proud and free, land of wealth and joy in unity, victors in the struggle for our right. We want freedom's fight, oh, one, strong and free. Africa is our own motherland, passion with and blessed by those who blend. Let us all our people join as one, brothers under the sun, oh, one, strong and free. One land and one nation is our cry. Dignity and peace is Zambia's sky, like a noble eagle in its flight. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free. Praise be to God, praise be, bless our great Zambia, 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 remember stand under the flag of our land. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free.
Prayer. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation, in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country, and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Honorable members, I have 4 announcements to make. The first one is, honorable members, I wish to acquaint the House with the presence in the Speaker's Gallery of the following honorable members of Government Assurances and Implementation Committee and staff from the Parliament of Uganda. The first one is Honorable Bwanika Abed, MP member. Honorable Bagala Joyce N, MP member. Honorable Emigu Julius P, MP member. Honorable Nakayeze Koni G, MP member. Honorable Mugumya Claire, MP member. Honorable Navukenya Brenda, MP member. Miss Komuhendu Christine, staff. And last but not the least, Miss Kasana Washington, staff. I wish, on behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, to receive our distinguished guests and to warmly welcome them in our midst. I thank you. The second announcement, honorable members, is that, honorable members, I wish to inform the House that I have received communication to the effect that, in accordance with the Standing Order 47 of the National Assembly of Zambia Standing Orders 2021, His Excellency the President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, has appointed Mr. Gregory Gowani as Deputy Government Chief Whip. Order. And this is with immediate effect. I thank you. The third announcement, honorable members, I wish to inform the House that on Friday, 23rd February 2024, when presenting the business statement for the period 27th February to 7th March 2024, Her Honor the Vice President indicated that His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, would address the National Assembly on Thursday, 7th March 2024, on the progress made in the application of national values and principles. I wish to bring to the attention of the House that the program has been changed, and in this regard, His Excellency the President will now address the House on Friday, 15th March 2024. Honorable members are urged to take note of this change and adjust their programs accordingly. I thank you. The last announcement, honorable members, on Tuesday, 27th February 2024, I informed the House about a football match between the honorable members of Parliament and diplomats accredited to Zambia. I now wish to inform the House that the diplomats accredited to Zambia and the honorable members played the game at the showgrounds on Saturday, 2nd March 2024. The results of the game were as follows: parliamentarians 2, diplomats 3. I wish, on behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, to congratulate the victors of the match and indeed all those who participated in the game. I also wish the parliamentarians better performance in the future games. I thank you. May the Honorable Deputy Government Chief Whip take stand so that the honorable members can see. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You may take your seat. Can we get back to business, honorable members? Can we get back to business? Matters of urgent public importance, the honorable member for Lunte. Order.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much for according me an opportunity to raise a matter of urgent public importance directed at the Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development and Her Honor the Vice President. Madam Speaker, you may be aware that last week the President declared the drought we are experiencing as a national disaster. Madam Speaker, at the time the President is concerned with our environment, government decided to go and demolish working stands for poor traders at Munyaule Market behind Sit Market. Madam Speaker, this has taken away
Honorable Member, without curtailing you, maybe you can take your seat so that I give guidance. Honorable Member and the House at large, you may wish to know that the Honorable Minister of Local Government will be issuing a press statement, a ministerial statement before this House this afternoon. So please hold on to your question. You will present your question after the Honorable Minister of Local Government has delivered his ministerial statement. Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Kasanengwa.
Madam Speaker, the people of Kasanengwa appreciate this opportunity to rise on a matter of urgent public importance directed at the Minister of Green Economy, but in his absentia, Madam Speaker, maybe at her honor, the Vice President. Madam Speaker, it is well known to everyone in this country that this country has experienced a serious shortage of rainfall, so-called drought. And we've seen most of our crop drying up. And even the head of state, Madam Speaker, declaring it a disaster. But since the time, Madam Speaker, the very important people of Eastern Province, the Ngonis, held the Anchwara ceremony, it has been raining in Eastern Province. And Madam Speaker, I've had so many calls from my constituency, people asking me, and you know, Madam Speaker, when it comes to issues of spiritual issues and prophecies, Zambians are very gullible. They are saying, we've heard that these rains will go up to June. Shall we start planting? And this is as a result of desperation, Madam Speaker, and uncertainties that are surrounding whatever is happening in our country. Madam Speaker, we appropriate a lot of money to the Ministry of Green Economy to direct us, guide us, and advise us on how the rain pattern will be. This ministry, Madam Speaker, is sleeping. Even at a time, Madam Speaker, when the rains came, it came with a huge impact such that even my own field, Madam Speaker, was leveled to the ground. There was no information from the ministry to warn us about the thunderstorm. My maize field, thank you. Madam Speaker, is the Minister of Green Economy in order to sit quietly and not come to this floor of the House and guide us and advise the how the rain pattern is and why all of a sudden we have seen such an improved rainfall in Eastern Province, though other places are drying up? Should farmers really go ahead after reading from a certain prophet in South Africa that Zambia will experience rains up to June? Madam Speaker, I think we need a statement from the Minister of Green Economy to advise us, to advise the farmers, so that people can know exactly how we should
Honorable
proceed.
Member, you are now debating. What is your matter of urgent public importance?
Sorry, I'm not going to mention the name of the prophet. The name is...
Order. Let's not talk about prophets.
My question, Madam Speaker, is the Minister of Green Economy in order to sit quietly when we have all these uncertainties going on? We need a serious statement, Madam Speaker, from the Minister of Green Economy so that we can know, farmers can know how to proceed and how to take care of their crop. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member, you may recall that this issue of drought and what was discussed last week, maybe what we can do is, since the matter is already known to the government and there are measures that are being taken, the honorable members may wish to put in a question, which the Honorable Minister of Green Economy will be able to address. The next one, the Honorable Member for Petauke Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Petauke this opportunity to raise a matter of urgent public importance, Madam Speaker, and the matter is directed to Her Honor the Vice President. Her Honor the Vice President, good afternoon. The greetings from Petauke. Madam Speaker, in Petauke Central Constituency, in Eastern Province, it's the constituency which was left out on the district or constituencies to receive relief food. And as I'm talking right now, in Petauke, we are in a serious crisis of hunger. My question to Our Honor the Vice President, Our Honor the Vice President, are you in order to sit quietly while the people of Petauke are dying with hunger and they are part of the Zambian people, kulinjara bemuda ku Petauke? Madam Speaker, meaning we have got hunger which doesn't have any solution. We don't have any solution. We are depending on government, but Our Honor the Vice President, she's quiet. Out of all the constituents and district, Petauke was left out. So the people of Petauke are asking Her Honor the Vice President to tell the people of Petauke why they were left out on this relief food program. We seek your indulgence, Madam Speaker. I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Member, you may wish to put in a question. As I've earlier guided, honorable members, let's not wait to raise a matter of urgent public importance on the floor of the House, especially if we are saying that people are suffering from hunger. Let's engage Her Honor the Vice President and ensure that those measures are taken. So the honorable member may wish to put in a question, and also as you raise your matters of urgent public importance, please let's follow the guidelines that have been shared with the honorable members. There is no need to say whether Her Honor the Vice President is in order to sit. That is not the manner in which we raise matters of urgent public importance. Let's go back to our notes, honorable members. That concludes the matters of urgent public importance. We make progress. Have permitted Her Honor the Vice President to make a ministerial statement. Her Honor the Vice President.
Madam Speaker, I thank you for according me the opportunity to speak in the House in response to a matter of urgent public importance raised by the Honourable Member of Parliament for Kasenengwa constituency, Mr. Philemon Twasa, in which the Honourable Member of Parliament has asked for a position on what measures the government is taking to alleviate the hunger situation across the country. Madam Speaker, the government has been observing the weather patterns, maize production, and overall food security situation, especially of the most vulnerable communities. Against the backdrop of the 2023 vulnerability and needs assessment, as well as emerging dynamics in the food production sphere, the food security threat faced by the country was evident. Hence, the Republican President, on the 29th February 2024, declared the prolonged dry spells, which is now a full-blown drought, a national disaster and emergency. The drought has so far affected 84 districts in the southern half of the country. I must say this was done over 10 days ago. So for now, because the drought, Madam Speaker, continues in the western part, the number of districts may have increased, impacting about 1 million hectares of planted maize out of over 2.2 million hectares planted, which represents 43.2% of the entire planted hectareage. Thus, at least 6 million people are estimated to have been affected by the drought as at 15th February 2024. Because these are agricultural households, we expect that they are food insecure and in need of relief food for the remainder of the year. Madam Speaker, in terms of measures being taken to alleviate hunger, the House may wish to know that the government, through the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, is already providing relief support to an estimated 2.04 million people that were identified in the in-depth vulnerability and needs assessment to be food insecure for the period October 2023 to March 2024. In this vein, so far, over 13,000 metric tons of relief white maize has been released to 67 food insecure districts. In addition, the government, through the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services, implementing social protection interventions, including the shock-responsive social cash transfer to attend to the vulnerable households in terms of coverage at individual level. The intervention is reaching over 2.7 million people in the 39 districts across the 10 provinces. The ministry will further increase the coverage and enhance the social cash transfer through horizontal expansion of the social cash transfer program by extending cash transfers to new households currently not benefiting from the social cash transfer program. Madam Speaker, further, the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU, in my office will continue to provide relief food for the 2.04 million people identified to be food insecure in the 2023, along with the additional households that are being identified to be in need of relief food following the drought conditions we are currently experiencing. Similarly, social protection measures under the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services will be sustained to benefit the vulnerable population. Madam Speaker, to provide more detail and elucidation, the House may wish to know that humanitarian response clusters have been activated since the declaration and have since been meeting to identify and evaluate the short and medium-term interventions required to address the hunger situation based on the existing contingency plan for 2023, as well as new emerging data from ongoing rapid needs assessment. The resulting drought response and recovery plan will be the basis for further resource mobilization and a more robust and guided comprehensive drought response and recovery interventions throughout the country. Some of the additional interventions targeted at addressing food insecurity in the country, as outlined by His Excellency President Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, include the following. I'll say number one here is the budget realignment. Realigning the budget and channeling more resources towards humanitarian relief interventions has to be done, and the honorable members must be ready to relook at the budget as will be proposed by the Honorable Minister of Finance, because we are all affected. Number two, under food, there will be sourcing of additional maize and other food to mitigate the deficit. This will be done, for example, by engagement of commercial farmers to grow early maize varieties, from which it is expected that in fact, I must say this has already been done. Honorable members, we did mention in this House that commercial farmers had cultivated maize under early maize. That was meant for export market. I think through myself and the Minister of Agriculture, we have said, because of the drought, this maize will be purchased by government so that the people of Zambia do not go hungry. So this is one way that we are going to increase food in the country. So government will buy from the commercial farmers the maize which was meant for export. The other point, number four, there will be enhancement of community sales to the vulnerable by the Food Reserve Agency, while working hand in hand with the DMMU on the provision of purchasable maize in the community. This is done normally, but under this will be enhanced. The fifth point, Madam Speaker, this will be increasing soft agricultural loans to our citizens for mechanization and increased productivity. This seems in the short and, I would say, immediate and short term, this will be done, but it will continue in the long term. Number six, reducing incidents of smuggling And in this regard, the government has deployed the security and defense personnel to man all non-smuggling routes. This is an appeal to all of us, particularly for us who come from border areas, to continue to sensitize our people that the little money that we get from smuggling can bring calamity to our people. Let us keep all our food in our country. The seventh point is supporting additional beneficiary households under the wetland cropping component to enable them grow a quarter hectare of maize during the dry season. I think last week, Madam, I even called upon the members that we can also go and grow, even under irrigation, 1 hectare or half hectare. That will not be just for your household. That will go a long way. This is, you better grow if you have never grown. That is something that we need to do. Then leveraging Zambia's defense forces to expand irrigation schemes as a way to increase food production. For example, the one saying question, if it is Lunte, we intend to have an irrigation scheme there to produce more maize, because there is a lot of water in Lunte, Porokoso. So this will be done, is one of the measures that will be done in order to mitigate the shortage of food that we may experience because of the drought. In the field of energy, I thought I could speak about other things. The ministers will come, Madam Speaker, and give comprehensive statements on the issues. But I thought I could mention energy. It's very important. Energy is important for us to talk about during this terrible drought that we are experiencing. The President did mention, and it is the intention of government, to accelerate the development of alternative energy, such as solar, wind, and others. And this calls for us, when we talk of this development of alternative energy, we can be the starting point from this House, because I think members of this House have some capacity of putting up, as an example, putting up solar system in our own, at our own homes, at our farms, so that we can release a bit of energy that will go to other, power that will go to other work, including the industry. But what is so important in this matter is that there will be importation of power, including rationing of electricity. I think we have heard already ZESCO announce that we will start load shedding in order to sustain irrigated agriculture production and for industry. Livestock is another one affected by the drought, and it speaks into hunger situation. There will be promoting of good management of pasture and rangeland, and ensuring that citizens do not engage in bush burning, because we need every bit of grass, Madam Speaker. And also sensitization on the harnessing of stover or grass or stalks of maize or any other crop that grew. Even the crop that we have lost, we don't have to grow away the maize stalks. It is important that we harness that, so that, from the affected fields as well as from thriving fields, even if our field is doing well, immediately after harvest, we harness that for stock feed. This is crucial for livestock production and productivity. Nothing should be thrown away. Nothing should be burnt this particular year. The next thing is intensifying cattle vaccination. Government is going to intensify cattle vaccination to prevent disease outbreaks that may occur due to increased livestock movements as they cover long distances in search of water and pasture. Madam Speaker, honorable members will remember that last year, in our last sitting, we had anthrax, and that was a result of lack of water. As animals dig down to try and get water, they end up getting anthrax infected. And also the movement, we saw that. The way, therefore, government is saying we have to intensify the vaccinations against diseases such as anthrax. On water, for the medium to long-term period, the government will mitigate water stress in some parts of the country by constructing and rehabilitating small dams to sustain the lives and livelihoods of local communities through multiple uses by securing access to water for domestic use, crop production, fish farming, livestock, and various water-dependent activities. But what is important in water is that the government will encourage drilling and maintenance of boreholes to provide drinking water for humans and watering points for livestock in drought-stricken areas. Madam Speaker, the declaration by the President is a call to all our partners, both local and international, to avail food and other support that they may have in order to provide the required relief. Given that this is a national disaster and emergency, the life-saving interventions such as the provisions of relief food and cash transfers are already under implementation. Other interventions highlighted earlier, which focus on food production, will continue to be implemented throughout the year, and some will remain as permanent measures, particularly given their developmental nature. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members are now free to ask questions on points of clarification on the ministerial statement given by Her Honor the Vice President. The Honorable Member for Lukasha.
Madam Speaker, I'm grateful to be given the first opportunity to ask a follow-up question to Her Honor the Vice President. Madam Vice President, I heard on the interventions that you were mentioning that you are going to introduce irrigation as well as mitigating the effect of hunger. Madam Vice President, I just want to find out on behalf of the people of Lukasha constituency, what kind of irrigation is government intending to implement? Is it drip irrigation or is center pivot which will be given to the farmers? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Her Honor the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank the Honourable Member for Lukasha. I don't think I used the word introduce, because every word matters. I don't think I used the word introduce. Either we enhance and we allow. You can't ask on the specific methodology of watering. I can't start here saying you are going to use the rain gun, or you are going to use pivot, center pivot, or you are going to use drip. That question is a little too specific. It depends on the amount of water and how big the field is going to be. Because I did, indeed, other conditions. Remember, Honourable Member, Madam Speaker, I actually said, for example, in wetlands, they will grow, I said quarter hectare, just quarter hectare. That would be something like 50 by 50. That should be quarter, or 50 by, 50 by 100. That would be quarter. But you can even grow 25 by 25 and use a watering can. So irrigation is irrigation. We want to encourage Zambians to use irrigation methods as long as there is water available that is enough to grow enough for food. I hope I respond. I can't tell you which method you use. Maybe you have a big farm. Use center pivot. I will use drip method. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lupososhi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Your Honor, the Vice President, you've talked about a lot of things in your ministerial statement. You've talked about hunger, load shedding, anthrax, burning bush, and all sorts of things. But my specific question to you is, how are we going to achieve irrigating our crops with the increased load shedding that ZESCO has just announced? Thank you.
Honor the Vice President.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I would like to thank the Honorable Member for that question, which he premises on the fact that I've spoken about many things, and even uses one example as a substantive matter. When I talked about anthrax, I said, for example, we had anthrax. There could be other livestock diseases that can be increased because of the lack of water and just the drought conditions. But your question is, can I remember?
Oh, the honorable members, there is a lot of talking and whispering. Can we listen to the Honor the Vice President?
Thank you. How are you going to do these things, including irrigation, with load shedding? I think that's why I said many things here. I said many things, including alternative sources of energy. It was in my statement. We have to see the statement in totality. If we just pick one, it will become difficult. You can water using solar system. That is, solar can also provide. This is why I'm saying here, members of parliament may have capacity which others may not have. You can use solar as a means of watering. Some may be living near rivers. They can use some kind of boosting to draw water. So it is, that is the truth. Unless you have another answer where you think we should not load shed. Is it possible? Then you can use a generator. Those are all sorts of methods that you can use, depending on the field that you are going to irrigate. That is the answer. We are talking about food security. I have not even spoken about commercial and export. I'm talking of food that you grow for consumption and maybe for the next door neighbor. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Wacha.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Vice President, His Excellency the President, during the national address on the effects of drought in Zambia, stated that the 2024 national budget will be realigned. And during your statement, your ministerial statement, Madam Vice President, you have re-emphasized that the 2024 national budget will be realigned by the Minister of Finance, Madam Speaker, through this House. Your Honor, the Vice President, the question is, when is the exercise of realigning the budget by the Minister of Finance coming to this House, and when are we expecting, as a nation, the implementation of the realigned 2024 budget? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honor the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank the Honorable Member for Wacha. Today there were no greetings from Wacha. Thank you very much. Madam Speaker, this statement, like the Honorable Member for Lupososhi noted, had a lot of things in there. In there I said, since the declaration, the cluster groups have been meeting to evaluate, because you can't just come quickly without really assessing the real impact. We are still in the assessment. Then that is what will actually inform how we realign the budget. We need all the information, and we are on the ground. And as soon as we know the full impact, which is not 100%, but at least we know as much as possible, then the minister will work on realigning and see which sector needs more support and which sector can give away. You may have to give away a bit from your CDF in order to meet people. But for now, we are still in the assessment, rapid and so on, so that we can know exactly the extent of the damage and then how many really people. I told you when I was reading the statement that actually this was, I think later the date came 15th February, but the drought continues. Even the few, you know, the little crop that was still surviving may have already been affected. So it's a fluid situation that we must follow. We will come definitely as soon as we can. It will not be perfect, but at least we should bring something that is speaking to what is on the ground. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kasenengo.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. The people of Kasenengo are eagerly waiting to hear clarified answers from our Honorable Vice President. Madam Speaker, the concern was relief food is being distributed to these constituencies. And the people that receive this relief food, maybe out of a village of 200 households, only 3 members, 3 households will receive. The rest of the people, 197, will not receive anything. And there are also allegations that this relief food is only given to UPND cadres. Madam Speaker, the concern, I said allegations. Who is alleging? Honorable for Petauka has always said you should be studying research. Madam Speaker, the question from the people of Kasenengwa is, when is the government going to release maize from FRA into these satellite stations so that anyone, whether you are a friend to a headman or not, you can walk to a shop and buy maize?
Honorable Member, if you can ask your points of clarification, don't debate, because now you are debating and opening so many areas. Just ask your point of clarification and be precise. We don't have much time.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The question is, when will government start releasing food from FRA into these stations? The people of Kasenengo are waiting, like they have done in Kazungula and Livingstone. I was reading in the paper today in Daily Mail. When is the government going to release maize from FRA so that the people of Kunda, Gundani, Chongotanov, Pwata can buy maize at 330 kwacha like the people of Kazungula and Livingstone are buying? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I honor the Vice President.
Thank you. In fact, Madam Speaker, in thanking you and thanking the Honorable Member for Kasenengwa, where it is raining and whether it is witchcraft, now it is killing even his maize. Because under him, we should come to the end of providing relief, because it is raining there. But the point I want to raise is that Kasenengwa, under, you know, we zone these areas. Under you, Kasenengwa, there was maize, there is maize, allocated white maize, and maybe it has already reached you, 261 tons that came to your constituents. Sir, I have information. How, yeah, that is what came. The issue currently, okay, The issue...
Order, honorable members, this debating while seated is not allowed. You are being out of order. And if you are named, you spend a few days outside. Then you can debate proper without anybody listening to you. So let's make sure that we comply. There is decorum in the House. May Her Honor the Vice President continue.
Currently, the situation, Madam, of community cells, I think that is what the member is referring to, is encouraged. And in fact, it is done. My agriculture has gone. That is generally done on request by the community, which members should be doing. You make a request that here we are able to buy, and then the maize is offloaded for community sales. So go on and do it, even before we go into this, which will come under assessment. You can do that. Don't think that the FRA will just come in your constituency, start buying. No, there has to be a request. But many of you ask for relief, and the relief follows the assessment. And then we give, that may not be enough, ask, make a request for community sales. The
last question will be from the Honorable Member for Lunte.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. Your Honor, the Vice President, on behalf of the people of Lunte and of Mporokoso, I would like to thank you for that government assurance that government is going to take irrigation farming in that area. This is an assurance that I'll follow very keenly. Your Honor, the Vice President, you make reference to sourcing of food as one of the measures that government is going to take. As a matter of fact, you may even buy food or maize from commercial farmers. Given that the government will now source food and that it will buy maize from commercial farmers, is government still proud with the decision it took to sell maize which it found in the sheds, or it is now regretting that decision, which the Minister of Agriculture was dancing about? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Her Honor, the Vice President.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank the Honourable Member, at least to acknowledge the good thing that this government is doing by, because what?
The honourable members, are you open to answer
I will not look
questions?
at them, Madam, because they are detractors sometimes.
So please, let's listen to the answers. Honourable Member for Lukasha and Honourable Member for Lunte. May Her Honour continue?
Yes, I was just acknowledging that it is important to acknowledge good things. But because colleagues wanted to do some politics every time, they bring in the issue of export. This government, even when colleagues, you are looking at what you have said, that I think last week people said, look, you had a forecast, green economy gave us. But if you go back to what we were given, you will be shocked. And these are the things that we should know, that climate change is real. Even the current equipment is incapable of telling exactly what will happen. Because if you remember, in that, there was the issue, I will come to that. I also wanted to premise my response on something. If you remember, there was supposed to be a dry spell from around 20th December to the end of December, and then we were going to have rain. That is one of the times that was indicated. But have we had rain since then? So even though government was following the forecast, they could not get it 100%. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is that this government was planning according to the knowledge that was there. And even then, you can't talk of export as if export of maize has brought lack of food. That is not true. That is not true. That is why we are saying in this House, Madam Speaker, that let us not continue to tell people like they are going to die of hunger tomorrow because there is no maize. Maize is here. We are working on distribution. Maize is in the country. The concern is that we will not harvest enough to continue having our people feed into the harvest for 2024-2025. I want this to be made very clear. The concern is not that there is no maize in the country. Today, there is maize. But are we going to harvest enough to take us from, for example, July, when we expect that what we have may run out? Yes, we may have enough to take us a little into December. But what of the other months? This is the concern. So let us take the right information from this House. Nobody, unless we fail to work on distribution, nobody in the country today can die of hunger. But we are not going to harvest enough to sustain the feeding of our people. So don't bring in the export issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Clearly, the matter is very important, but because of limitation of time, we can't take it any further. But honorable members, this is an ongoing process. Those honorable members who might have some solutions or suggestions on how this problem can be tackled can make their suggestions to the relevant authorities. But I believe that Her Honor the Vice President will come back at a later date just to give us an update on what has been done. So we make progress. I have permitted the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security to make a ministerial statement. The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, before I make my ministerial statement, I would seek your indulgence to congratulate the UPND for winning 4 by-elections out of 5. And I'm made to understand that the funeral in the other camp has not yet ended. They are still mourning. I thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let me thank you for giving me the opportunity to make a ministerial statement on the matter of urgent public importance that was raised by Honorable Michelle Okasauta, Member of Parliament for Wengwa constituency. The matter of urgent public importance is on the security of the nation in light of the alleged statement made by the former Republican President, Mr. Edgar Chagawalungu, that citizens will rise against the President of the Republic of Zambia before 2026. Madam Speaker, Zambia is a democratic society, and the new Dawn administration formed by government to avoid many issues and ensure that we foster a better democracy and restore the rule of law. Order, respect for human rights, including liberties and freedoms. By creating a good governance environment, we have seen our citizens enjoy liberties and freedoms as well as more economic investment than before. This situation has secured for us the cooperation of our peace-loving citizens who have trust in the visionary leadership of our President, His Excellency, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. Madam Speaker, the government has performed well on the governance scale, and there is no known or latent action from the government
to warrant citizens to force the president to give up power and call for early elections before 2026. We are safe and secure. The state of the nation is strong. We are, however, not going to dismiss as exaggeration the alleged pronouncement by the former president indicating that people will rise and force the president to give up power. Being former head of state, perhaps there could be something he knows which government is not aware of. Coincidentally, Madam Speaker, similar statements have been made by some senior members of the clergy and other political leaders. As such, security wings should take interest in the matter. There could be some covert operations being undertaken. We are not going to fold our arms and lament. This is because we have seen situations where few careless politicians have convinced the whole nation that it is on the brink of a civil war. We as a responsible government shall ensure that there is law and order in the country. Madam Speaker, in the recent past, government has noted with great concern maneuvers by former leaders aimed at attracting undue attention from sympathizers, seeking attention, which has resulted to desperate means. Unfortunately, some of their activities are repulsive. It is not right to mock citizens by faking being amazed at prices of goods, faking being kind to the people, when in actual fact their government defrauded and even made careless pronouncements that had the potential to endanger public security. This is unfortunate and careless behavior from former leaders. Madam Speaker, we are particularly concerned with the behaviors of leaders as manifested on the 27th of February 2024. This is because recent behavior is part of history of a peculiarity of a political party that was involved in violence, that was involved in gassing members of the public. And during that period, members of the public were living in fear. Sadly, through such behavior, countless Zambians suffered human rights abuse. We must read the times. This is not time to fund and perpetuate violence. Rather, it is time for the New Dawn administration to heal the divisions that were created by the PF when they were in power and rebuild the economy that their regime left due to a lack of a better word, mess, but I withdraw the term mess. Today, many opposition party leaders in Zambia talk as if they were enemies of government engaged in war. This should stop. They must contribute to the rebuilding of the nation through positive checks and balances. Madam Speaker, the former leaders' behavior and those of cadres are an extraordinary phenomenon, pure destructive and unpatriotic. They are not politicians with genuine concerns to grow the economy or to improve livelihoods. They do not wish to take reins of power legally and foster development. They seek to destroy even the little they left, which the New Dawn administration seeks to mend. They do not aim to help any particular section of society, they delight in the suffering of citizens because they think the citizens will support them. Some of them even advocate violence to advance their selfish desires. Even if they seem to champion the word patriotic, they seldom practice patriotism in their undertakings. They try to disguise who they really are with a veneer of sympathetic political vocabulary, but we know them. The peace-loving Zambians know them. Madam Speaker, the New Dawn government shall uphold the supremacy of the rule of law and maintain law and order for our citizens so that they enjoy liberties and freedoms. Similarly, we shall uphold national security, which is essential for our citizens, livelihoods, access to goods and services, as well as the free exercise of civil, political, social, and economic rights. We shall, I repeat, we shall not condone any activities that undermine national security. I urge all peace-loving Zambians to refrain from any acts that may bring our cherished peace and national security into jeopardy. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members are now free to ask questions on points of clarification on the ministerial statement given by the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security. The Honorable Member for Kabwata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Honorable Minister, I think one thing that I believe in is from the abundance of the heart, the mouth will speak, and that's how it is. It's not only Mr. Lungu who made a serious and damaging statement.
Honorable Member for Kabwata, let's avoid mentioning names because those members are not here. So if you can ask in general terms without particularizing particular individuals.
Well guided, Madam Speaker. It's not only somebody who issued a serious and damaging statement, Honorable Minister, but we have also seen some elected officials that are actually causing alarm. I can call them alarmists. What does the law say to people who always want to cause alarm in the nation? For instance, where we've seen other members saying that there will be hunger in this country, there will be hunger in this country, yet they do not have proof. What is your ministry doing to such individuals?
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Member for Kabwata. As I indicated, Honorable colleagues, we cherish the right of citizens to enjoy their rights and liberties and freedoms of association. But as a responsible government, we will not allow anyone who infringe the rights of others and also want to foment chaos. Laws of this country are adequate to deal with individuals or organizations that want to foment chaos. There are laws in this country that deal with the issues of alarming the nation. We, as the New Dawn administration, have been very tolerant. You may have noted that a lot of alarming statements have been made, but we have not moved against anyone unless they are perpetual offenders. We would like to advise that there is a better way of engagement than making alarming statements, creating chaos in the country. When the law follows you, don't blame anybody. We have been tolerant and will continue being tolerant and advise members to refrain from such activities. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Nalolo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Minister, for your statement. Madam Speaker, I would also want to congratulate the UPPZ for winning the Manshawat by-election in Kanchibia. We must encourage more players. PPZ joins PNUP in breaking records. Madam Speaker, and congratulate the ruling party, of course, as well. Madam Speaker, the Minister has mentioned about gassing. And this gassing issue, Madam Speaker, saw the loss of lives. I want to ask the Minister, why isn't the government successfully prosecuting, first of all arresting, prosecuting, and convicting those people who participated in gassing, whom you have attributed to your ministerial statement? I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm aware that the issues of gassing are very emotive in this country. We lost a lot of our people through this heinous act of gassing. I want to inform the nation that we are advancing in this particular issue. The investigations have reached an advanced stage. And there are other means which we are going to invoke to ensure that the perpetrators of these heinous acts are brought to book. Those who were involved in these acts, let them be assured that their days are numbered. And when we invoke certain appropriate measures, let them not complain. I can only assure the nation that something will be done. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Solwezi East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Minister, for that ministerial statement. The people of Solwezi East would like to know whether the former president still enjoys immunity for what they did whilst in office and what they are doing or what he or she could do after leaving office. Is that immunity still applicable in relation to the laws that we have in Zambia? Minister, clarify. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I will not talk about an individual. I will just generally talk about what the law provides. The law provides that once you leave office, you lose your immunity. You only enjoy immunities for acts that are done in the course of duty while you are president. That is the position.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Sinazongwe.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. Madam Speaker, I know very well that when you retire, you want to play a role of advisory. Equally, me, when I retire as a member of Parliament for Sinazongwe, I want to play a role of advisory in the constituency. Honorable Minister, Zambia is a Christian nation. You are a very peaceful government. Are there any efforts using the churches of meeting these who are promulgating trouble, meeting them on a dialogue basis as a Christian nation? I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as government and as a party, we have always been available for dialogue. You recall that even before we assumed office, we are calling for dialogue, genuine dialogue, so that issues that affect the nation are resolved amicably. We have always been engaging the churches to ensure that the church can provide guidance pertaining to the governance of this country. 2 weeks ago, His Excellency, together with the Vice President, had a breakfast meeting with church mother bodies and other leaders to discuss issues of national interest so that we can have peace and tranquility in this country, so that issues that affect the nation can be resolved. As you may be aware, we do appreciate the roles of the church. We would appeal to the church and any other leaders in this country to ensure that they bring warring parties together so that issues are resolved amicably and constructively in the interest of the nation.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chiengi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. And allow me to congratulate my neighbor, Honorable Kowani. You deserve that position. Congratulations. Yeah. I'm happy for you, honestly, from the bottom of my heart. Yeah. Madam Speaker, listening to the Minister, I want just to find out. My question will be in the line of Honorable Sialual. However, Madam Speaker, we have a history here at hand where the current head of state had issued certain remarks, just like the immediate past head of state. Now, in the interest of democracy and unity, what is this government going to do? Because when I listen to the social media, what is going on, I think we need peace in our country. What is this government going to do? Because we have a history here, and it's like the history is repeating itself. Somebody who's in the opposition leader issuing same sentiments. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Indeed, we have a history in this country. Some of it is bad, and it should not be emulated and appreciated. And some aspect of our history is good. On the sad side of our history, I've heard you mention the current president. You do recall that after the 2016 general elections, our current president was charged for treason when there was no treason by those people who are now crying foul. They knew there was no treason that was committed, but they went ahead to inflict pain on him, on his family, and on the nation, and on the supporters of the UPND. 127 days in the maximum prison in Kabwe. But our president has resolved not to revenge against anyone who inflicted pain on him.
Yeah, Jesus.
And you are aware that currently, Madam Speaker, there are people who have been making treasonous statements in this country. And the president is on record guiding us that don't do anything because we like to resolve matters amicably. I have no doubt in my mind that if we had those who left power And they were the ones being in charge now, and such statements were made, a lot of our people would have been in prison for treason. But because we are a responsible government, a caring government, that wants to build the nation, that wants to unite this country, we have not done anything. But it's not a sign of weakness.
No.
It is not a sign of weakness.
Never.
Don't dare. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of responsibility. It's a sign of responsibility and wisdom, because we want to unite this country. We will continue uniting this country. All of us are aware that this country was divided. But we are trying by all means to unite this country. But other people are trying by all means to divide us. I have no doubt in my mind that the people of Zambia will not allow anyone to divide us. We have been living in this country as one Zambia, one nation. As a result of the wise leadership that is being exhibited, 4 days ago, that was on Friday, we won 4 seats. We are removing blankets in other people's bedrooms. We have now councillors there. It shows that the people of Zambia are appreciating the leadership. And they will continue appreciating. We have heard, Madam Speaker, where others have been saying President Hakainde will not be in the seat up to 2026. We are aware. Such statements have been made recklessly. We are being given, Madam Speaker, 2 years that they will not allow President Hakainde to rule this country for more than 2 years. Something will happen. Other people have been advocating for a coup in this country. Statements have been made when there were coups in West Africa. They were saying we wish coups can happen in this country. But we have not taken action against anyone because we have a responsible leader. We have a Solomon in State House. If it went for that, action would have been taken. But we pray for those sinners so that they can repent, so that this country can continue in a positive trajectory. Madam Speaker, thank you.
Thank you. The last question from the Honourable Member for Mitete.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Ngowan was also my neighbor. I would also love to congratulate him. Congratulations. To also congratulate UPND, New Dawn government, for winning, for getting that which was not theirs. And of course, the other party, whatever, to mention it is hard. Minister, well explained. Thank you for the tolerance, for big heart of his President Hakainde Hichilema, and for you as a minister. Thank you. But tell me, what if this reckless statement, careless statement, shall continue and continue again and again? What must be done, Madam Speaker, if people will not listen to advice, for Zambia is a peaceful country. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Although the question borders on speculation, I don't know whether maybe the Honorable Minister can speak for himself.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I tend to think that we are all Christians here, if I'm not mistaken. You do recall that even Jesus had to take a stick to whip those who were doing illegal things in the house of God. If other people continue, I have no doubt even the honorable member for Chienge, she can take a whip if our children continue being truant. So we will be tolerant, but there's a limit to tolerance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes that segment. We move. I have further permitted the Honorable Minister of Health to make a ministerial statement. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am grateful to be given this opportunity to update the members of this August House on events threatening the public health security of our people and our country, Zambia. Allow me to emphasize the commitment of government through the able leadership of His Excellency, the Republican President, Ms. Hakainde Hichilema, to assure public health security of the country. The government attaches great importance to securing the health of our people and the nation at large. We cannot overstate the fact to ensure a wealthy nation, we require a healthy nation. I assure this August House, and indeed the nation at large, that our national multidisciplinary and multi-sectorial epidemic response system is intact, functional, and effective. Through this system, Madam Speaker, we have recently been able to timely detect and effectively respond to major outbreaks and health threats, including COVID-19 and cholera. Madam Speaker, this year we have observed an increase in the number of COVID-19 cases as people present at the healthcare facility with flu-like symptoms. This has come at a time when still memories of the terrible effects of the COVID-19 pandemic are still fresh in the minds and hearts of our people. The lives and livelihoods of many, if not all families, were severely affected with a high prevalence of COVID-19 infections and related mortality. The devastating impact of the pandemic on the national and individual economies led to loss of jobs and business. Historically, between March 2020 and July 2023, our country recorded 349,224 cases of COVID-19, and 4,072 lives were lost. May the souls of the departed rest in peace. Madam Speaker, when we took over government, we enhanced our efforts as a people and government to protect ourselves through vaccination. At the time, only 3% of our eligible population were vaccinated against COVID-19. I'm happy to say that within 5 months of us leading the health sector, we had more than 80% of our eligible population vaccinated. Thus far, the number of eligible people vaccinated with at least one dose stands at 11.7 million, reflecting a 96% coverage. Further, 9.5 million of our people are fully vaccinated, reflecting a 87% fully vaccination coverage. 13% of our people have received a booster vaccine dose as well. Our impressive vaccine coverage is well above the 57% average coverage for lower income economies. It is also well above the 67% global average. This is unprecedented, and we thank our people and all those involved in our multi-sectoral manner of responding to public health threats. Madam Speaker, it is important to note that we have stated several times before, the transmission of COVID-19 in Zambia and other countries has not been eliminated. Even when the World Health Organization declared an end to COVID-19 as a public health emergency on the 5th of May 2023, it stressed that it does not mean the disease is no longer a global threat. Therefore, COVID-19 is not yet over. Despite our excellent vaccine coverage, we know that the immunity wanes off over time, increasing vulnerability. We have continued to conduct routine and epidemic preparedness activities. We have introduced new modalities of treatment and monitoring of COVID-19 and other respiratory illnesses, including influenza. To this effect, we have continued to monitor COVID-19 using the Integrated Disease Surveillance and Response System. This has been supplemented by routine testing of at-risk individuals. Furthermore, we have introduced oral drugs, including the famous Paxlovid, for treatment of COVID-19 for all high-risk individuals. These drugs are given to individuals who test positive to COVID-19 and are at risk of developing severe COVID disease. They are available in healthcare facilities and they are free. Madam Speaker, through our routine COVID-19 surveillance system, the country has seen a steady rise in the number of positive cases of COVID-19, beginning the last week of December 2023. There has been an increase in COVID-19 positivity in the initial weeks of the year, with a total number of suspected cases captured at 17,860, with 3,292 cases having been confirmed to be positive. Copperbelt Province has recorded the highest number of cases, with 1,262 cases confirmed out of 5,850 tests that were conducted. This reflects a 21.6% positivity rate. However, in the 7th week of 2024, the positivity rate fell to 16%. The hotspot districts have been Chingola, Chilabombwe, and Mufurila. Lusaka has also been another hotspot. Madam Speaker, I regret to report that in this same period, we have recorded 9 deaths. 6 were COVID-19 related deaths, and 3 were COVID-19 deaths. The deaths have been in Lusaka, Mansa, Chingola, and Imbala. All these individuals were not vaccinated against COVID-19. Madam Speaker, I'm also here today to address the recent rise in COVID-19 cases at Kapirimposhi Girls Technical School, Chisamba Boarding School in Central Province, and in Chelenge Secondary School in Wapula Province. As of today, the 5th of March 2024, a total of 137 learners have tested positive for COVID-19 in these 3 schools. 64 were at Kapirimposhi Girls Technical School and 59 at Chisamba Boarding School. It is important to note that 12 students at Kapirimposhi and 22 students at Chisamba Boarding had previously been vaccinated. 2 students from Kapirimposhi Girls Secondary School had been admitted but have since been discharged. A similar cluster of 14 COVID-19 cases was observed at Jelenge Secondary School between the 22nd and 27th of February 2024. I want to assure you that currently all the learners are stable. Madam Speaker, Government through the Ministry of Health has taken the following steps to control the situation. We have increased surveillance in all schools. We are isolating infected students in designated spaces. We are providing health education on COVID-19 prevention measures. We are obtaining parental consent to vaccinate learners. We are supplying schools with materials to control the spread of the virus. Madam Speaker, we have not reached the stage to institute strict public health and social measures. However, we encourage persons with vulnerabilities to get vaccinated, to wear masks when in crowded places, continuously maintain good hand hygiene, and visit the healthcare facilities when unwell. In ensuring preparedness for severe cases requiring oxygen support, oxygen supply systems have been improved in our health facilities. We are therefore ready to handle severe respiratory illnesses requiring oxygen therapy. Madam Speaker, allow me to highlight on what our multi-sectorial and multidisciplinary response system has put in place during this rise of cases. Our COVID-19 Center of Excellency at Levi Wanwasa Teaching Hospital has been equipped with both staff and medical supplies to attend to the rising numbers. Similar treatment centers have been reactivated in other provinces. Disease surveillance has been enhanced to ensure detection and notification of all COVID-19 cases. This includes the use of electronic platform for tracking of COVID-19 data. In facility, COVID-19 testing for all symptomatic individuals have been enhanced. As I speak, all health facilities are testing for COVID-19 among individuals who present with suggestive symptoms. Genomic sequencing has progressed to ascertain the variant circulating. It is important to note the circulating variant is still the Omicron variant with few mutations, not largely different from what has been circulating over time. We are also conducting wastewater surveillance to detect the virus that causes COVID-19. This is in collaboration with the Churches Health Association of Zambia, CHAZ, and the Association of Public Health Laboratories. This program will build up capacity for genomic sequencing to set the stage for integration to cover other significant public health pathogens or germs. Health promotion messages for COVID-19 has been enhanced using numerous health promotion media. This has further been combined with the cholera prevention and control messaging. Madam Speaker, further, we have 3,009,500 doses of the J&J COVID-19 vaccine. We are also expecting 350,000 doses of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines next month in April of 2024. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, I'd like to reiterate that COVID-19 is not yet over. It is still present with us and has now become endemic in Zambia. Our multidisciplinary and multi-sectoral epidemic response system is ready to respond to the rising cases. The public, however, is encouraged to adhere to public health preventive precautions. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members are now free to ask questions on points of clarification on the ministerial statement given by the Honorable Minister of Health. The Honorable Member for Lunte. Honorable Member for Lunte, before you proceed, there's an indication from the Honorable Member for Luena. What's the point of order?
Madam Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity, and I apologize to the Honorable Member for Lunte who was about to ask a question. Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 229, permission to be absent. One says, a member seeking to be absent from a sitting of the House shall seek the written permission of the Government Chief Whip or the Speaker in such form as the Speaker may determine, stating the period of absence, the reasons, and any other relevant information. Madam Speaker, members on your left, you'll see some benches are entirely empty. They came in, logged in, and are absenting themselves from the business of the House. Are they in order, Madam Speaker, to continue with this very unbecoming behavior of logging in to receive the sitting allowance, then go to caucus outside for hours on end, and reappear tomorrow again to follow the same routine? I seek your serious ruling on this matter, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Member for Luena, I think there's a ruling pending. There's been this habit of honorable members coming in, log in, and then disappear. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, they always disappear. And they are the first ones to cry. I believe the guilty ones are always the ones who complain, isn't it? So there's a ruling that is pending, to be delivered once it's ready. Can we make progress? Honorable Member for Lunte.
Madam Speaker, the Honorable colleague who raised the point of order apologized
Order,
to me.
Honorable Member for Lunte, that's water under the bridge.
He apologized to me for disturbing the thought.
Yeah. Okay, yes, proceed.
He did, Madam.
Yes, he apologized. I heard that, yes. But it's now water under the bridge. Ask your points of clarification, unless if you want to go on a lighter note.
No, I mean, it's just to tell him that a meeting and a sitting are two different things. He needs to know that. Instead of confusing himself, I think it's embarrassing the House. Madam Speaker, the Honorable Minister, as he delivered the ministerial statement, talked about a working system to manage the response, health response. Honorable Minister, drugs are an integral part of managing these diseases. Remember the COVID-19 vaccinations? Remember the vaccinations in the cholera cases? Does it worry you when you read what we are now seeing in newspapers, where they are claiming that the Solicitor General is taken to ACC?
The honorable members, let's avoid what is the issue of COVID and the Solicitor General. The Solicitor General is an individual who is not before this House. Why do we want to discuss that? Just ask your point of clarification. I didn't hear the honorable minister mention anybody being taken to ACC. So let's stick to the statement that has been delivered, and let's ask points of clarification on that ministerial statement. May you proceed.
Thank you, Madam. Madam, I just wanted to find out from the Minister whether these 10% commissions, which are causing problems in payments to suppliers of medicine, is affecting you. Does it really affect you, or you think that it is fine? People should take each other to ACC over supplying of medicine to the Ministry of Health, like the reports that we have seen in the diggers today. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Member for Lunte, you were guided. Honorable Minister for Health, did you mention any issue of taking people to ACC? Maybe you can respond on your own. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the statement is basically talking about the fact that we have an outbreak of COVID and that COVID didn't finish, and I was just trying to inform members that, you know, on the status of the cases in the country, and that precaution must be taken, and also how it can be prevented. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
So in other words, if the Honorable Member for Lunte is interested in that matter, he can put in a question, and if admitted, the question will be answered by the Honorable Minister. The Honorable Member for Bwana Mukubwa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, the Minister of Health, for the ministerial statement which you've given us. Madam Speaker, let me not be the only Jew in Jerusalem. I wish to congratulate my colleague, Honorable Nkoani, for whatever they're congratulating him, because I came in late. Congratulations. Thank you. Minister, I just wanted to find out, Madam Speaker, from 2023 October, we've had issues of cholera in this country, and over, I think, 400 to 500 people died. I just wanted to find out from the Minister of Health, because we've had assurances also from COVID as well as cholera. How prepared is the Ministry of Health to ensure that they mitigate such pandemics when they break? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think the statement did allude to the steps that we are taking in showing that we are actually prepared, not just here in Lusaka, but in all the provinces. And also speaking about cholera, we are also making sure that we remain prepared, because with the experience now, we know that epidemics or pandemics will be with us, maybe not today, but even maybe tomorrow or in future. So it's incumbent upon government to ensure that we are much more better prepared next time than we were before. That it regards COVID and also any other outbreaks that we face. So yes, we are getting ourselves prepared, not just in terms of infrastructure, but also in terms of staffing, in terms of equipment. We want to be better prepared next time for any other eventualities. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chengi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, when the schools reopened, most of kids had severe flu, which I thought, I was also, you know, if you remember, I spent a week at home because that flu came back in my house. Most of the kids in schools are experiencing this flu. It's not flu. I take it is COVID. So I wanted to find out from you as the Minister of Health, what precautions are you going to take, or measures you're going to put in schools? Because this disease, most of people are thinking it's just a severe flu, But when you look at how it's taking long and the symptoms, you can tell this is COVID. So I would like to find out, as the ministry, what are you going to do for the school-going children? Because that thing is there even here in Lusaka. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable, for your follow-up question. Maybe just to go back on the response system that we have put in place, and also to get back to what government steps are being taken to control the situation. So, like I indicated, we have increased surveillance of the cases in the schools, and also when we find that there is a case, we are making sure that that particular case is isolated. We are also doing some health education, and I think around education, health promotion, this is where I can ask members of parliament, and this is why we bring these statements. The idea is that once we speak to you and the nation, you can also decentralize that message specifically to Chienge in the case of Madam Honorable Katuta, so that once your voice is heard, further precautions will be taken. And all the people need to do now is to take the precautions that we're taking during the last time when there were COVID. Remember, there was that 1 meter away. Even when you go to banks or you go to church, you'll find that some churches and some banks have continued. And also, even you as an individual, when you see that there's a situation in a country, you hear that some students or some pupils have been infected with COVID, you start to take your own personal precautions. When you're in a public place, you cover your face with a mask, like one of our staff has done here in Parliament. You have seen somebody who cares about his life has covered himself. Those are the kind of precautions you must do. When you're in a bus, a public bus, where you are so squeezed up, you put on a mask. That is what we do. And yes, there's been a flu. That is the flu. You know, when somebody has a flu, whether the flu is COVID or not COVID, you know, normally flus, they fly. It's easy for you to inhale a virus arising from a flu. But what has happened in this case, Madam Speaker, most of these flus have been tested and have been confirmed that it is COVID, and hence the steps that we are taking. And of course, we also know that sometimes at school, our children, depending on how they sleep, how they relate in class, you know, we hug each other, we greet each other. All those kind of things must be reduced. Remember what we have said. There are few things that are common. One, the hands must always be washed with soap and clean water, because the hands transmit viruses. And then also masking up where you see the situation is not good. And if you are seated next to somebody who is sneezing, why stay near to such a person? It's better you keep away from such people. And just avoiding crowded places like funerals. There's so many diseases now. I've kept saying that the times have changed. Zambia is no longer what it used to be before, where you could be in a clinic or a hospital, you literally have to count the number of patients that are coming. Now, diseases are flying across borders. So if you look at the areas where there is this disease, you can tell that maybe somebody went across or somebody across the border towns, or they're in crowded places, schools have opened, other children have come with diseases. So there are all these issues, and that's why it's important also for parents who have children in these schools to give consent for vaccination in time. Don't wait until there's an outbreak. If you as a parent know you have a child who is in a boarding school and you want the child protected, it's incumbent upon yourself to be in touch with the authorities and indicate that you want your child vaccinated. So vaccination is good, and of course there are issues of prevention, cleanliness, hygiene. We and the Ministry of Education have continued doing inspections of schools because we believe this should become a way of life. And so, as parents, help us by visiting your schools and ensuring that your schools where your children are going are clean and free from diseases. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Solwezi East.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, you have...
Honorable Member for Solwezi East, sorry, apologies. There's an indication for a point of order. What's the point of order, Honorable Member for Chenge?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this is an August House where we are expected to dress properly. Madam Speaker, I rise on this very important point of order on the Minister of Mines. Madam Speaker, when you look at him, he looks like the late Rebo of Namibia. Is he in order to come in like an person who is impersonating that Rebo, the late, no, I will not mention his name, Jonathan Savimbi. I want to know if it's him or is somebody else, Madam Speaker. I thank you.
I don't know if that is, but you are not cousins, so I don't know. But I know of no rule that prohibits any member emulating a rebel or a former rebel. And I don't see that in the Honorable Minister of Mines. So the Honorable Minister of Mines is in order. May we continue? The Honorable Member for Solwezi East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, I would like to just get a clarification on the kind of people getting this COVID-19. Is it more on those who were vaccinated with just one vaccine or booster, or those who were not vaccinated? How is the trend like? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It is clear that those who were vaccinated normally will not get COVID again, except for those who may have been vaccinated and maybe didn't get a booster. As you know, vaccines wane out. They're not forever. So even those who could have been vaccinated many, maybe years ago, and maybe they only had one booster, it is possible. The good news is that if you've been vaccinated normally and you get infected, the severity of the disease is not that much compared to those who have never had a vaccination. That is what we saw in the previous the previous time when, or period when there was COVID. So we always want to encourage people to get vaccinated. We think that vaccines work and we think vaccines are safe. But we also want to say that for those who don't want to get vaccinated, at least take the necessary precautions. The problem is that we have people who don't want to be vaccinated, and normally they're the most careless ones, unfortunately. So my advice is get vaccinated. It helps. If you don't want to get vaccinated, at least, just follow the rules, the health regulations around avoiding contracting, COVID or indeed another disease. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Mandevu.
Madam Speaker, I thank you. I heard the Minister of Health is encouraging us to take preventive measures, 1 meter distancing, but I hope you've noted that the Minister of Infrastructure is crowding the Provincial Minister's bench, Madam Speaker, against the advice of the Minister of Health. My question is, History has shown that we live in a global village, and this COVID mostly we import it through travels. What detective and preventive mechanisms have we put around our exit and point of entries? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you very much. It is true, Madam Speaker, that at times these cases are imported through travels. And we have now, like I said, opened up all the places that had points for testing and checking at our international airport here in Lusaka. I'm not sure whether that has been, I think Lusaka and Copperbelt. I'm not sure about the other airports, but basically what we are doing is that we are looking at the districts that are reporting cases, and so far we have 23 districts reporting cases of COVID, of course with Chingola having the highest number, 466 confirmed cases, Kabwe 347 confirmed cases, Lusaka 266 confirmed cases, Kalulush District 208, Mufulira District 183, Chilawombo 178, Mazaboka 131, Chongwe 118, Solwezi 115, Chilanga 106, Luansha District 99, Ndola District 86, Monze District 77, Kasama District 75, Mansas District 69, Chisamba 67, Chirundu 58, Kawambwa 47, Chivumbo 45, Gwembe 45, Petauke 41, Kapirimposhi 39, and the last one, I've already talked about Chongwe, Kitwe 37. So you can see that the Copperbelt seems to be getting into more districts. It's about people moving around. So you see that once you hear your district has a case, take precaution yourself and avoid those places where you think you get it, and so on and so forth. So, Madam Speaker, we want to conclude by saying that these are cases that have been conducted since January 2024 across the country. And we can only say to the people that we have intensified surveillance at points of entry, and passengers that are clearly showing signs of symptomatic are tested at points of entry and referred for testing to the nearest facility. Thank you.
Thank you. The last question, the Honorable Member for Kasama Central.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to ask a question. Honorable Minister, in terms of preparedness, you have informed us that the country has sufficient vaccines in terms of Johnson & Johnson as well as Pfizer. Now, when it comes to test kits, how prepared are we with test kits? In places like Kasama, having a COVID test done is almost rocket science. You'll probably find swabs are available and reagents are not available. So, Honorable Minister, I wanted to find out how prepared are we in terms of test kits. I submit. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you for that important question. Like I said, even when it comes to vaccination, those numbers I've said are just what I could say, some form of preparedness that we have. So even for test kits, these tests that are being done in the districts simply shows that we do have test kits. As to whether the test kits that we have are sufficient, that's another question. So, like I said, we are, getting ourselves more prepared, not just for COVID, but for all other eventualities in terms of stocks, drugs, vaccines, and all that is required. And what is good is that we have resources, at least for that, except for issues of procurement, and sometimes ZAMSA tries to procure and people don't supply even after they've been given a contract to supply. And so you have a situation where ZAMSA sometimes has to wait for a month or so, and when they see nothing is coming and you are past the date when you said you're going to deliver, then they cancel that contract and re-tender again. And those are some of the challenges in the procurement process. Except to say that what is good is that we now know as a nation, and it won't be our first time, even if tomorrow there was a COVID surge or a cholera surge, we are ready. But of course, we never get 100% ready when it comes to logistical support. And readiness also depends on the severity of the outbreak. And so we continue to ensure that we are at least well prepared just in case. Thank you.
Thank you. I have again permitted the Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development to make a ministerial statement. The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you very much, Madam. Madam, as I issued this statement, it would have been my desire for Mr. Kafwaya to be in his seat because he had raised this same matter as a matter of urgent public importance. Let me also join those...
Honorable Kafwaya, please, if you are outside nearby, come and listen to the statement you wanted it delivered, so that when you ask a question, follow-up questions will be relevant. Honorable Kafwaya, may the Honorable Minister continue.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Madam Speaker, to deliver a statement on the demolitions that were undertaken at the Munyaole market in Lusaka, as well as the Chisokone market in Kitwe by the respective local authorities. Government has noted the various media reports and responses indicating diverse statements and sentiments on the two issues. Madam, this statement, therefore, is being issued to provide clarity on the status and appraise the House, as well as the nation, on these two matters. Madam Speaker, the demolition of Munyaole Market in Lusaka Central Business District, I wish to report as follows. With a little historical perspective, that on the 31st of December 2017, the then Minister of Local Government and Housing, as it was called then, Honorable Vincent Mwale, issued a statement which ordered the demolition of the Munyaole Market. The Minister stated that Munyaole Market had been identified by the Ministry of Health as one of the sources of cholera, hence the need to demolish it, and then government to move towards finding an alternative trading space. The minister then insisted that the situation was a crisis and that there would be no negotiation, nor would there be compromise. Madam Speaker, during this period, 42 lives were lost to cholera during the outbreak. This led to the invoking of the provisions of SI 79 to reinforce the statement by the Minister of Local Government. The provisions of the SI were issued by the then Minister of Health, Dr. Chitalu Chilufya. When the New Dawn government, under the leadership of Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, took the administration of this government, the demolition had still not taken place at the trading place called Munyaole. And this unsanitary trading condition only worsened under the disorderly conditions. This is despite the various emphatic pronouncements to move the traders and restore sanity in order to meet the aspirations of the administration then. Madam Speaker, the brief background about Munyaole is that the trading area was originally a temporary market meant to accommodate the traders from the city center market during its construction following the gutting of the same town center market. During this time, 220 traders were allocated temporary trading places by the local authority, Lusaka City Council, with the understanding that they would vacate the premises when the city market was complete. Upon the completion of the city market, Madam Speaker, the traders at Munyaole market relocated to the new market as it was in the initial arrangement. However, some traders opted to stay at Munyaole market, and the number since then has grown to 900 traders to this date, and not the 4,000 traders as is being reported by some sections of the media. Again, for purposes of emphasis, the affected traders who were trading in Munyaole saw from 220 back then in 2017 to 900 this time around. Madam, in 2019, the Lusaka City Council decided to modernize the market and to provide the requisite facilities, i.e. sanitary provisions. To this end, the Council did resolve out of the Munyaole market during a full Council meeting that was held on the 29th of June 2019 and is recorded under Vide Minute number C/23/6/19. The resolution was a 15-year lease that was to be entered between Lusaka City Council and Kadura Construction Limited, a privately owned company, to construct the Munyaole modern market. However, the construction works, after so many years, did not commence, as there was continuous resistance to vacate the premises by the traders in that particular area. Despite several engagements with them, subsequently the Council resolved to demolish the market stores pursuant to Urban and Regional Planning Act number 3 of 2015. In line with the Act, the traders were issued the various notices and instruct them to relocate to an alternative premise that was identified by the Council and the Ministry that I'm privileged to run, where they would be there temporarily to allow for the construction of this market to go on. I want to confirm here, Madam Speaker, that ever since I took office and found this arrangement, we have engaged into protracted discussions, back and forth negotiations with the traders in my office until we were satisfied that the move was necessary. I want to put this on record now, that among the few things that we think PF did right, this was one of them. This government made priority also to modernize Munyaole market and provide a safe and health facility for our traders to operate in the wake of cholera. The move to relocate the traders, Madam Speaker, from this market, therefore, was to pave way for the construction of a modern market and aims to enhance the market's infrastructure and create a more conducive and trading environment for the traders and shoppers alike. This means, sorry, Madam Speaker, this measure is meant to prevent the outbreak of various diseases in the future. To accommodate these affected traders, Madam Speaker, the Council has taken the following steps. 1. The Council has secured space behind BH and Soweto markets.
Order, Honorable Minister. As the time is 16:40 hours, I suspend business for 20 minutes for a health break.
Parliament television. Business of the House has been suspended for a 20-minute health break, and so we expect business to resume at 17 hours. And at the time business was being suspended, on the floor of the House was the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development presenting a ministerial statement on the demolition undertaken at Munyaule Market in Lusaka, as well as Chisokone Market in Kitwe by respective local authorities. And so when business resumes at 17 hours, we expect the Minister to continue presenting the ministerial statement.
Time now to look at business that has been considered so far on the floor of the House. Madam Speaker did make several announcements. Among them, she did inform the House that she has received a communication to the effect that in accordance with Standing Order 47 of the National Assembly of Zambia, Standing Orders 2021, His Excellency the President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, has appointed Mr. Gregory Ngowani as the Deputy Government Chief Whip with immediate effect.
In another announcement, Madam Speaker informed the House that on Friday, 23rd February 2024, when presenting the business statement for the period 27th February to 7th March 2024, Her Honor the Vice President indicated that His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, would address the National Assembly on Thursday, 7th March 2024, on the progress made in the application of national values and principles. And so Madam Speaker brought to the attention of the House that the program has been changed, and in this regard His Excellency the President will now address the House on Friday, 15th March 2024, and urged all honorable members to take note of this change and adjust to their program accordingly.
We did have quite a number of ministerial statements. The first one coming from Her Honor the Vice President, Mrs. W.K. Nalumango, on the measures government has put in place to alleviate the hunger situation in the country. We also had one that came from the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security on the security of the nation in light of the alleged statement by the former Republican President, Mr. Edgar Lungu, that citizens would rise against the president before 2026.
Another one came from the Minister of Health, Honorable Suvia Maseo MP. This was on the resurgence of COVID-19 in Zambia. And so far, this is the business that has been considered on the floor of the House. Just now we go on a break. Remember, business of the House will resume at 17 hours. Keep watching Parliament Television. Good afternoon.
Dive into the Women's Month with great entertainment on Topstar. Enjoy the best of sports, series, movies, plus more for only 180 kwacha monthly subscription. Antenna Classic OG Smart. Get set for a football roller coaster with the Bundesliga as Henry Kane's Bayern Munich continue to chess log leaders Bayer Leverkusen for the top sport. Also revel in the excitement of the Saudi Pro League and witness football giants Cristiano Ronaldo, Benzema, Mane, and Fashion Sakala all in action. But there is more exciting content. Extend your entertainment to movie channels on Topstar. Intrigue yourself and family with the latest and freshest action movies on ST Movies Plus, Mysterious and blockbusters on Filmbox, and the best of comedy movies on ST Zone.
Oh, that was worse, huh?
Every day. So, what are you waiting for? Download the StarTimes On app and enjoy content on the go. Subscribe today. Topstar. Enjoy digital life.
The month of March has a special day dedicated to celebrating women around the world. The International Women's Day is celebrated on 8th March every year. As a build-up to this year's International Women's Day, which will be celebrated under the theme Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress, Amalgamated Bank of South Africa, ABSA Group Limited, organized a Women's Month dinner under the theme Celebrating Women's Stories on 1st March 2024 at Intercontinental Hotel. Gracing the occasion, Vice President Mrs. Mutale W.K. Nalumango stated that this year's International Women's Day underscores the collective effort needed to forge a world where women and girls enjoy equal opportunities.
As a government, we are committed to promoting gender equity and equality through the effective implementation of gender policies coordinated by the Gender Division in Cabinet Office. Through the multi-sectoral approach, alongside other development and cooperating partners, we are committed to protecting and promoting women's rights, curbing gender-based violence, and reducing gender inequalities. These efforts are in line with the Vision 2030, which aims at attaining a prosperous middle-income nation. Through the national gender policy, we aim to redress existing gender imbalances and unlock opportunities for both women and men to actively participate, contribute, and equitably benefit from national development.
The Vice President commended ABSA for its continued promotion of female entrepreneurship, emphasizing the importance of women showing appreciation and providing support for each other.
As a government, we are committed to promoting gender equity and equality through the effective implementation of gender policies coordinated by the Gender Division in Cabinet Office. Through the multi-sectoral approach, alongside other development and cooperating partners, we are committed to protecting and promoting women's rights, curbing gender-based violence, and reducing gender inequalities. These efforts are in line with the Vision 2030, which aims at attaining a prosperous middle-income nation. Through the national gender policy, we aim to redress existing gender imbalances and unlock opportunities for both women and men to actively participate, contribute, and equitably benefit from national development. Supporting one woman to grow her business has a positive trickle-down effect within a community. There is a multiplier effect as more households are able to benefit from employment opportunities generated and increased income through the supply chain. As a government, we are committed to providing a supportive environment for SMEs and other entrepreneurs to thrive. It is gratifying to see that the bank has continued to work closely with the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprise Development. It is through partnerships such as these that we can promote the growth of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, as well as bridge the financial inclusion gap.
ABSA Bank Managing Director Mrs. Mizingamelu acknowledged government's dedication to advancing gender equality.
We are aware that the government has prioritized gender equality, and you have equally introduced the 2023 National Gender Policy designed at accelerating the implementation of gender programs countrywide. This will create and is creating an enabling environment and equitable access for more women. ABSA is committed to working collaboratively with the government to support the policy, just as we have committed to support the growth of the micro, small and medium enterprises through various partnerships.
And in a speech read on behalf of ABSA Bank Board Chairman, Dr. Austin Mwape, Acting Board Chairman, Mr. Mobita Akapelwa, said achieving gender equality is a critical milestone globally.
We are one step closer to eliminating the gender equality gap. While notable strides have been made to address the poor practices associated with gender-based exclusion, there are still many practices that alienate women and affect their general well-being. The unequal opportunities presented to women limit their participation in society, and for girls specifically, exposes them to the possibility of teenage pregnancy, child marriage, exploitation, sexual abuse, and violence. It has been established that gender inequality affects everybody, with key developmental factors such as education, health, and economic growth declining within societies with notable gender inequality. Madam Vice President, with these insights, it goes without saying that gender equity and equality is critical for the development of a country.
Ms. Chileshe Mpundu Kapwepwe, the first female Secretary General of the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, was given a chance to share her inspirational journey, focusing on the significance of self-confidence, values, and leadership.
I'll give you 2-3 points which I think are important. Firstly, I think you have to have the confidence that you can do that job. And that confidence comes with knowledge of your field. We should not accept token appointments. We should accept appointments because we are capable and we're able to take on the role. The second point, which I talk about, is self-improvement. Continue to improve. Continue to learn. I went to do my master's just before I turned 40 and I had to leave 4 children behind to go to Bath for 18 months to get my master's. So it's never too late. Please continue improving yourself. I also did a course 5 years ago called Value-Based Leadership, because I believe that as a leader you should have emphasis on values, at the University of Cape Town School of Business. So I continue to learn. So having values and principles is very important to me and has been a guiding factor in what I've done. Values are deeply held beliefs that guide your behavior. They also help you to be consistent and fair in your dealings, and they also define who you are.
The highlight of the event was the award ceremony, where exceptional women were honored owing to their success stories. To crown it all, Her Honor the Vice President, Mrs. Mutale W.K. Nalumango, was also honored by ABSA. Women play a vital role in shaping our society and making the world a better place.
My name is Christopher Kangombe, Member of Parliament for the good people of Kamfinsa constituency. I was born in Kitwe. I basically did all my education in Kitwe. Started my primary school in where I am today at Justin Kawe Basic School in Indeke. Went to Kitwe Boys Secondary School in Kitwe, and later on I pursued a degree in electrical mechanical engineering, where I graduated at CBU. I think should have been 2009 thereabout. At that time I was already doing civic work. I was already an elected councillor in an area called Riverside in Kitwe. And of course later on I was privileged to have been given an opportunity by the people of Kitwe to work as mayor of the city in between 2016 and 2021. Then of course last year I got an opportunity to represent the community where I was raised, where I grew up, which is Kamfinsa constituency. I am married. I'm a father of 3 children. I think the eldest must be 10. Yes, 10. The second born is 8 and the last one is 5. Yeah, professionally I've worked for Mopani Copper Mines. I used to work as an assistant engineer there. I worked for Luansha Copper Mines, and before going full-time into civic work and political work, I worked for a company called Atlas Copco, where I was selling mining equipment. So I happen to have an understanding of what happens in the private sector. I also have an understanding of what happens in governance. So it's been a great honor reaching this stage where now I can come to Parliament and come and not only represent the people of Kamfinsa, but also try and urge government. You know, our role as parliamentarians is to provide oversight. I love watching football. If I was not an engineer, I think I would have been a very good football player. I read a lot. It's good to read. As a leader, you have to read, because when you are reading, you tend to understand what is happening globally, you tend to understand history, and you tend to understand so many different aspects. Kamfinsa constituency is the first constituency as you enter Kitwe. So on your right, where the boundary with Ndola ends, Kamfinsa starts. So the entire farm block, where the prison is, you go further with the boundary with, is it Mufulira, Ndola Road, that boundary, that is the outer boundary. You come to Ndeke, Kitwe, Mlenga compound, Mkuba na Twange, that is the geographical description of Kamfinsa. Of course, we have challenges in the constituency. We have challenges of water. I was raising an issue earlier with our Honour the Vice President, asking government to work on the water supply network in the constituency. We did start a project, I think in 2019, under Nkana Water and Sewerage, but the project could not proceed because a few things had to be changed. So we have challenges of water. We of course have challenges of unemployment, just like any other constituency. And with more young people finishing school, I think it will continue to pose as a challenge. And I'm hoping that we could find solutions here and also in the constituency, and of course other stakeholders. We are predominantly an agriculture economy. Most people do agriculture, but majority of them on the urban side of the constituency do trading. Some of them work in the mines. So what is happening on the copper belt, Mopani operations, KCM operations do affect directly our people in the constituency. And of course we have a lot of people in the informal sector, those that go into Sokone market to sell their commodities. So those are some of the key players in the constituency. And of course I want to thank the clergy in the constituency, because they've helped us whenever we want to sensitize the public about things.
Watching Parliament television. At the time, business was suspended at 1640 hours for a 20-minute health break. On the floor of the House was the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, presenting a ministerial statement on the demolition undertaken at Munyaule Market in Lusaka, as well as Chiksokone Market in Kitwe by respective local authorities. And so when business resumes, we expect the Minister to continue presenting this ministerial statement.
Earlier we had a ministerial statement by the Minister of Health, Honorable Sylvia Masebo. She did update the House on events threatening public health security in the country. We also had a ministerial statement by the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, Honorable Mwimbu, on the security of the nation in light of the alleged statement by the former Republican President, Mr. Edgar Chagwalungu, that citizens would rise against the President before 2026.
We also had another ministerial statement. This was on what measures government has put in place to alleviate the hunger situation countrywide. This was presented by Her Honor the Vice President, Mrs. Mutali Nalumango, MP.
And so still to come is one question for oral answer understanding order number 76. The House will also consider 6 questions for oral answer understanding order number 74.
We also expect a resumption of consideration of question. This is question for oral answer understanding order 74, a question that was posed by Kwacha Member of Parliament, Mr. Mulinga, and he directed his question to the Minister of Youth, Sport and Arts. And so when we expect the House also to continue considering this question.
All right, so those are live visuals on your screen. We await for the resumption of business in a minute's time. Just now we interest you to what's happening in the chamber as we await for the resumption of business at exactly 17 hours. Stay tuned.
Honorable Members of Parliament, Madam Speaker,
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for still being with us on Parliament Television. Bells are ringing since we don't have a quorum in the House. It is a requirement that 1/3 of members of Parliament must be present in the House for any business to transact. And so once the quorum is formed, we expect business of the House to resume. And at the time, business was suspended for a 20-minute health break at 16:40 hours. The Minister of Local Government and Rural Development was presenting a ministerial statement. This was on the demolition undertaken at Munyaule Market in Lusaka, as well as Chisokone Market in Kitwe.
Order, honorable members. When business was suspended, the House was considering the ministerial statement presented by the Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, and the Honorable Minister was presenting the statement. May the Honorable Minister continue?
Thank you once again, Madam Speaker, and welcome. As we were going to break, I was in the middle of saying, Madam Speaker, that in order to accommodate the affected traders, the Council, Lusaka City Council, has taken the following measures. The Council has secured space behind BH and Soweto markets for traders to temporarily conduct business as they await the completion of the modern market at Munyaule. Some traders have already been accommodated along the Lumumba Road just before the main Lumumba bus station, and there are 120 of them. Another 120 have been taken to the main city market. Once the modern market is done at Munyaule, priority will be given to the traders who were trading at this place to normalize this. Kadura Construction, through the engagements that they had with the ministry, has ready and has delivered some offer letters to the same traders in order to avoid confusion when that time comes. These are the measures that we've taken in order to secure the security of the traders to return. Madam Speaker, with regards to the demolition of stores at the Chisokone market in Kitwe, which was undertaken on the 13th of February 2024, members of the House may wish to know that Kitwe City Council is currently implementing a program to provide green shelter for markets in the city. Under this program, Chisokone Market was identified as one of the markets that require the provision of a green market shelter, as its traders have been operating in an open air area for the past 20 years. Madam Speaker, in line with government policy, for community engagement, the local authority held 5 consultative meetings with the traders between May 2023 and November 2023 in order to discuss the way forward on the construction of the green market shelter, as well as shops that would also be constructed to replace the makeshift metal shops bordering the market area. Madam Speaker, during these meetings, the local authorities assured the traders that 535 traders would, along Chisokone Road, and 89 makeshift store owners that they would be prioritized in the allocation of the new infrastructure that is coming up in Kitwe. Madam Speaker, the Kitwe City Council has since put the following measures in place. Stand spaces measuring 2.5 by 3 meters have been allocated to all the 89 affected traders. A 6-foot container for storage has been provided for by the council for the traders to put the merchandise. One trader who has a refrigerator has been offered a council-owned shop in the green market for rent. Madam Speaker, as I end, I wish to reassure this august House and the Zambian people in general that government is committed to ensuring that all our traders operate in safe and healthy environments with water and sanitation facilities. While it is government's responsibility to ensure that our people are provided with the means of livelihood, I wish to reiterate that it will not, as a matter of fact, condone illegalities, disharmony, as these places that well-being of our larger population of Zambian people may be at risk of disease outbreak due to unsanitary trading spaces. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable members are now free to ask questions on points of clarification on the ministerial statement given by the Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development. The Honorable Member for Ron.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And Honorable Minister, thank you very much for the statement. First of all, Honorable Minister, I want to give you a pat on the back because it indeed takes a bold man or a bold minister.
Honorable Member. It's a point of order on who?
Madam Speaker, on the House. Madam Speaker, excuse me about that. Madam Speaker, I'd gone to caucus outside, and the Honorable Madam Speaker called me back in the chamber in order to come and contribute on this particular ministerial statement. Madam Speaker, why can I not be given the first opportunity to make a contribution since Madam Speaker requested me to return to the chamber? I think you are serious, really, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member, we have just started getting the questions. We have not come to the end. We have just started with the first person. So we'll be picked. You'll be picked. The Honorable Member for Ron, please continue.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity once more. Madam Speaker, I was saying that I wanted to give a pat on the minister's back because indeed for the stance that he has taken, it has to take a brave man to do that. But we know eventually people will be able to be happy from the actions that he has taken. Honorable Minister, I want to find out from the Munyaule incidents, we heard from your statement of the engagements that you actually had with the vendors or the marketeers. But kindly inform the House and the nation. There are some reports from the section of the media that some traders actually lost some variables or indeed monies. Could you be able, Honorable Minister, to state as to whether there was any loss of monies or indeed variables? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Madam Speaker, I could not quantify any loss that may have been occasioned as a result of this engagement. However, my office remains open to the public for those who may be affected to come and present their cases. But before I sit down, I would like to pronounce myself to the following. We were elected on account and ticket of the preservation of order, and I can confirm to you, and I can give you even by name, the many people, traders, who came through my office where we agreed that on this particular day we will have ended the moratorium for them to move. I want to state that there was an individual who unfortunately I cannot mention here because he's not available, who incited a few of the traders and duped them that he had obtained a court injunction and that nothing will be done in regard to the demolition. And we only learned, some of us, about that purported injunction, which does not exist, by the way. that he had given some comfort by inciting certain few people that nothing would happen. I would like to also state that I thank the councillors, the WDCs, the area MP who was on hand after we finished the demolition, who, by the way, some of the traders said, look, you may be the one to blame because we didn't know that this time around you were serious. The trouble that we've had, Madam Speaker, is that we have had leaders who exercised a lot of cowardice to do the right thing. And I can tell you, without any fear of contradiction, Madam Speaker, that on my files, I have seen numerous notices for demolition, notices for eviction, but because our citizens became used to the culture of disrespecting the law, they took it as business as usual. Madam, this is the government, not any other, that wishes to live and be remembered as a government that restored order in this country. And to that effect, Madam, I will give an example of how we agreed to demolish a government institution, namely a police station, because it was situated in exactly the wrong place. And this is the Kuku police station in, I think, Chawama constituency. So this should come in as a way of reinforcing what we have said before and will continue to say, that please, citizens, let us abide by the law, let us obtain planning and building permission, because once we are gone, some soon, others not so soon, and others later, we want to leave a legacy where those who come after us many years or centuries will say there were people who were thinking 100 years ahead of them. We cannot permit a situation, Madam Speaker, such as what was prevailing at Munyaule Market. At Munyaule Market, Madam Speaker, 900 traders plus the shoppers who I could not enumerate without toilets resulted in what we all know has been normalized. People using Chibuku parks to answer calls of nature and throwing the waste in the drainages. That part of the Munyaule Market, again, was built on a drainage. And as I speak to you, Madam Speaker, 2 weeks ago, and to demonstrate how serious we were, we started by knocking out those stores that were on the drainage in order to remove the drain. This was in the midst of the highest point of that cholera attack. It is my sincere appeal to our citizens to understand that this is done for the love of themselves and not as other people are purporting. Because some reporter, Madam, asked me a question. Other people were scared of voters. Why are you not scared of voters? I pronounce myself to say it is a decent thing to be voted out for doing the right thing. And I still repeat with the humblest posturing that it is dignifying to be removed from office for doing the right thing than to stay in the office for doing the wrong thing. And the wrong thing in this case was what was perpetuated by those who came before us. And when the realities of life come to the face, even if they promoted the wrong things, they still lost power. Governments come and go. We want to be remembered as a government that brought back sanity and order.
Thank you. That was a very detailed response. If the Honorable Minister could somehow shorten to accommodate as many people as possible. The Honorable Member for Lunte.
Madam Speaker, I wish to appreciate you for affording me this opportunity to interact with the Honorable Minister on his ministerial statement. Before I do, I would like to do what I forgot earlier to do, to congratulate my honorable colleague who has been found worthy to maintain the office of Deputy Chief Whip, and to urge him that he needs to ensure that the House maintains a conducive atmosphere. By so doing, he will have no problems in maintaining the quorum. Otherwise, he will have a big problem. Honorable Minister, thank you so much for your statement. It clears the air. Now it's clear it was deliberate on the part of government to move in the manner they did. My question to you, Honorable Minister, is when you consider some of the people who were displaced from the streets, who might have not been given alternative trading places, and those from Munyaule market, who may not have trading places, put them together, what is government's intention in terms of immediately providing alternative trading areas in these difficult times when a national disaster has even been declared? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you, Madam. Madam, I appreciate the question that the Honorable Member has given to me, starting by those who were shepherded out of the streets in order to close street vending altogether. And I'm very glad that I got support from nearly all the members of Parliament to remove street vendors. And what we have now are just street hawkers, those who walk around with non-perishable items in the streets. When we finally agreed, it was not an easy fight, Honorable Member, with the street vendors. You saw them lamenting on TV everywhere and basically pushing the argument towards this same thing called votes. After the emotions were down, we sat again with the street vendors. And we agreed that all of you whose database we, by the way, collected, we put them at the foot of the newly erected Tamon Mowaland market. And even as they're trading now, they know that for me, when this market is open, that's where I will go. That is the approach we are going to take even for those who are at Munyaule market. The secret to this survival, which we need your support on, is engagement. We have engaged our people that is darkest before dawn, that sometimes there's joy after pain. And I can assure you, Honorable Member, that 18 months from today, mark my lips, you and I will be smiling because our traders will be trading in far much better sanitary conditions. Yeah. Madam, I wish the president of PF, Mr. Sampa, was seated here because he was the mayor at the time when this decision, the decision in 2019 was made. And the council was predominantly PF. All of them, to the exclusion of none, they were PF. And when we were coming in the elevator, he said something to me that I treasure. He said, the difference between you and me is that you are a strong person. You can bite the bullet. We beat the bullet on the street vendors. There's reasonable sanity in our country. We want our traders to go in the designated trading places, and we'll go step by step by step until we achieve the desired results. Thank you, Madam.
The Honorable Member for Nkana will come back to the Honorable Member of Chitambo later.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister of Local Government, I wish if you had conversed with your counterpart, the Sports Minister, because then he was Secretary General of Zanama. Chisokone Market, he was president for Zanama. Honorable Minister, the same way I intimated to you when you sought my opinion over Chisokone Market. Chisokone Market, you are aware by now, Honorable Minister, all the structures you see at Chisokone Market are built by individual traders. That is not a market that has been built by the local authority.
The Honorable Member who's just gone to the other seat, you passed in between the person on the floor? And myself, yes.
Honorable Minister, in your statement,
it's not allowed. The honorable member for Kaflaputa. Just sit, but I'm reminding you that you are not supposed to pass in between the person on the floor and the speaker or the chair. Thank you. You may continue, honorable member.
Honorable Minister, in your statement, you have alluded to the fact that the shops that have been demolished at Sokone Market were to pave way for the construction of the market shelter at Sokone Market. I did explain even the last time you wanted to seek my, or you sought my opinion. That market shelter at Sokone Market is almost at 50%. There was no consideration of the shelter or the shops when initially that undertaking was embarked on. The development of the shops is just an afterthought. And the council has simply taken by force those shops from the traders. Is it the desire of your ministry that you will now be forcefully taking over shops that have been built by marketeers at Sokone Market to turn them into the hands of the council, knowing very well, Honorable Minister, that all those shops are owned by individuals? Is it your intention now, in the name of modernization, if that is the correct word, to now take over shops, to demolish them and build, and those shops now belongs to the council? Is it your intention? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Madam, thank you very much for the opportunity, and thank you, dear colleague, for your questions. And I'm so grateful to you that you recall me in my usual style coming to compare notes with yourself, there where you are seated, shortly before the demolition exercise took place. I want to put it to you this way, that in our decentralization drive, we are walking the talk of respecting the people's desires and trajectories for development at local level. The decision to go that way at Sokone Market did not come from the office that I occupy. I'm sure you know that. It came from the councillors. And Kitwe City Council is a very exciting cocktail of members from the independent bench, members of PF, members of UPND, headed by a PF mayor who chaired the meeting that agreed that they were going to go that way. In my usual consultative way, I have had intense discussion with the town clerk, with Her Worship the Mayor, who is, by the way, in support of what we did in Sokone. Definitely. She chaired the meeting that made the resolution, and I can give the quote of that. And by the way, we must always learn the culture of collective responsibility. If this House resolves something, if you don't want to be placed on record as being part of the resolve, you must indicate that I want to be put on record that I disagree with this decision. In Kitwe, nothing of that sort happened. The Kitwe City Council agreed a long time ago. And again, it is this, back and forth movement, nilly-willy kind of arrangement, where two people, again, who I can't mention their names, but you and I know from the deepest point of our hearts. I asked you about these two individuals who were representing the rest of the marketeers, and who, in my view, from the report that I got on my desk, were like this one here at Munyaole, who was inciting people, that when they agree in a public meeting, and I said in my statement, 5 consecutive meetings were held with the public, and they agreed. After they agreed, the two individuals go and incite people, Tatwa Sumine. To the effect that, to the point, madam, one of them ended up in the police cells because they took it upon themselves to resist. Now, it is time to eat humble pie, Honorable Member of Parliament. And there's nothing wrong to eat humble pie. When the instruments of power have moved, they have moved. And we always get judged after the fact. Let people judge us for what we are doing today, the way they wish to do it today. But I can assure you, without any speck of doubt in my mind, that a few years from today, you will look back and say that was a correct decision that they made. I am so sad that you may not have been fully consulted by the council as a representative. That may have been a lapse on their part. But just remember that the blood type, political blood type that you have, you also have representative in that council together with your mayor. They should have sat with you to say, please just agree. The councillors for Usakile, the councillors for Nkana, the councillors for Chimwemwe, the councillors, they were all involved in this decision. But when the decisions are implemented, because they serve the interests of the people, then the implementers become bad. It's unfortunate.
Thank you. At 15 minutes, very few people have asked. The Honorable Member for Kanyama.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Minister, for the statement. To start with, I just want to thank the government for the progressive move to ensure that where people are trading from, the place is upgraded, looking at the many pandemics that have been hitting my constituency, Kanyama. However, I had a chat with the concerned marketeers who finally made a request to ask the government whether there is a likelihood of compensating those who could have lost their merchandise during the exercise. I thank you.
Before the Minister comes in, there is an indication for a point of order. The Honorable Member for Nkana, what is your point of order?
Madam Speaker, for the sake of proper recording of the proceedings of the House, Standing Order 65 requires that what we put on record is factual. The Honorable Minister of Local Government has alluded to conversations or engagements between individuals he did not want to mention, who are on record agreeing to these negotiations and on the other hand disagreeing. The Honorable Minister is aware, Madam Speaker, I wrote him a letter over these engagements at the local authority versus the traders, in which letter I indicated that the traders did not agree to the planned demolition of those shops. Is the Minister in order to suggest on this floor, bearing in mind that I wrote a letter in which I explained that the marketeers were not agreeable and had misgivings to this, to then suggest that these two individuals, one of whom is before the courts over the Sokone issue, did a flip-flopping, agree today and disagree on the other? And is he in order when he's in receipt of a letter from my office over the same matter? I seek your indulgence.
The Honorable Member for Nkana, the Minister is still taking questions. You cannot involve maybe a colleague to continue asking a further question instead of raising it as a point of order. I'm sure the Honorable Minister will have an answer for that. So the Honorable Minister, I'll just allow it for the sake of making progress. The Honorable Minister will say something over that as he responds to the question that was raised by the Honorable Member for Kanyama, the Honorable Minister of Local Government.
Madam, I think the Honorable Member of Ron asked the same question, or a similar question, and I was clear in my response that those who feel that they need to engage with us on this matter, the doors of my office are open wide. They can come and present their case. And this is not to say we are going to give a blanket statement here that compensations will be done. And the reason I gave in the maiden question by the Honorable Member of Parliament for Ron was that enough engagements had been done people, there's evidence, madam, of people who moved voluntarily because they understood the seriousness of the matter. It is a few of those who decided to resist to the point where some ended up in the police cells. And I want to say this to you, without shame in my mind, that one of the people that are in the cells here at Lusaka Central is a member of our own party. And they thought, whether they were being instigated by someone or not, they thought what used to happen before, where the cadre would stand in front of the law and say, Tamach Tefi, you won't do this. That is thing of the past. We've agreed that order shall prevail. In the case of Kitwe, madam, I'm responding based on what I know. And I'm ready to be taken to the cross if what I'm presenting before the House is untrue. The fact of the matter, however, is that there's one man whose name I have here in my report, who has also been arrested in Kitwe. One was in Tanzania at the time when I wanted to engage him. I went that far low. I asked the MP for Nkana, and he's here to testify. Can you link me down to these two people? I want them to come to Lusaka so that I can also try to get them to understand what we are doing. Unfortunately, it is true, Honorable Mpundu, you told me one of them is in Tanzania, the other one has just been released from the cells, and he's now been passed on to the court of law. Because for this moment, he is perceived as a transgressor against the law. He will go to the court and acquit himself. The point that I'm driving here is that we shall not agree for lawlessness to prevail. We will not agree to be blackmailed, not even by our own political party members, because we want sanity. There are societies, Madam Speaker, such as South Africa. If you drive in a car without your seatbelt, there will be no discussion. They will charge you and sometimes lock you up in the cells. Here, it doesn't happen. If you go to Rwanda, you can't throw a piece of paper anyhow like this. This is a culture that we are trying to develop in this country. But I see that the remnants of the glorious past still wants to come back to show its face that it's okay.
So what is the